Good morning, North America, good afternoon, Europe, and good evening to everyone joining us from India. This is US Election Watch. I'm Allister D'Souza in Washington, D.C. The headlines. Trump blames rhetoric from Harris and Biden for violence against him. He says the suspect from Sunday's shooting incident was motivated by such rhetoric. Biden says Secret Service needs more help after an apparent second assassination attempt against Trump. Reports say just recently the Biden administration asked Congress for special permission to increase spending on the Secret Service. Suspicious packages sent to election officials. Powder-containing packages sent to at least 6 states. And Trump unveils a new crypto venture. We'll dig deeper on if this could be a conflict of interest if Trump wins the elections. About 50 days before the US elections and political tensions are running high, former US President Donald Trump is blaming his Democratic rival Kamala Harris and US President Joe Biden after he was targeted in an apparent second assassination attempt. The suspect from Sunday's shooting incident had criticized Trump on social media. Authorities, however, have not determined a motive. No word yet, also from the officials, if the man was inspired by rhetoric from the Democratic camp. Both Biden and Harris have denounced what happened. However, Trump has said, quote, he, referring to the gunman, believed the rhetoric of Biden and Harris and he acted on it. This rhetoric is causing me to be shot at when I am the one who is going to save the country, and they are the ones that are destroying the country both from the inside and out, unquote. Trump's sentiments also echoed by his running mate, J.D. Vance.
I know it's popular on a lot of corners of the left to say that we have a both sides problem. And I'm not going to say we're always perfect. I'm not going to say that conservatives always get things exactly right. But you know the big difference between conservatives and liberals is that no one has tried to kill Kamala Harris in the last couple of months, and 2 people now have tried to kill Donald Trump in the last couple of months. I'd say that's pretty strong evidence that the left needs to tone down the rhetoric and needs to cut this crap out. Somebody's going to get hurt by it, and it's going to destroy this country. Somebody is going to get hurt, and you think about what an incredible wound it would open up in the United States of America.
Now, in related news, following Sunday's apparent assassination attempt on Trump, the White House has condemned billionaire Elon Musk for his tweet about how no one is trying to assassinate Vice President Kamala Harris and President Joe Biden. Now, Musk deleted the post, saying it was meant to be a joke. NDTV's Vishal Vivek has those details.
The White House has criticized Elon Musk's now deleted post that questioned why former President Donald Trump has recently faced 2 assassination attempts, while President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris have not. The White House has said that the violence should never be encouraged or joked about and labeled the post as irresponsible. Musk's X post came just hours after the suspected attempted assassination of Trump on Sunday at his golf course in Florida. Musk has tried to clarify by posting on X later that he was just making a point about no one even trying to assassinate the leaders. When flagged that some people might be misinterpreting his remark, he agreed to delete his post. The US Secret Service has also reacted to Musk's post and said it is aware of the issue. Tech billionaire Musk is a close ally of Trump, but that wasn't always the case. In fact, just 2 years ago, he had posted on X that it's time for Trump to hang up his hat and sail into the sunset. Musk then went on to endorse Trump's Republican arch-rival, Ron DeSantis. However, the relationship over the last few months has reached new heights. It can be recalled that right after the first attempt on Trump's life, Musk posted a video of the Republican candidate saying he fully endorses the 78-year-old. There could be other reasons for Musk gravitating towards Trump, Under the Biden administration, his companies faced a number of federal investigations over employment practices, his takeover of Twitter, and claims about Tesla autopilot feature as well. While the Trump-Musk match seems to have been in the making for a while, how much that actually benefits the presidential candidate remains to be seen, as the tech mogul seems to go overboard frequently. Vishal Vivek reports for NDTV World. Bureau Report.
Let's take a closer look at all that we've heard. We are joined by political analyst and former Capitol Hill Communications Director Jayden Horn. He is a registered Republican, and also Rohini Dey, founder of Let's Talk Women and Vermilion, and who recently spoke at the Democratic Convention. Thank you very much for joining us. Jayden, I'm going to start with you. The two assassination attempts on Trump are alarming, totally unacceptable. Immediately after the first shooting, if you remember, Trump called for unity, telling people not to point blame across the aisle. A very measured tone, but not so now. What do you make of Trump and J.D. Vance's comments this time around, blaming Harris and Biden for what happened?
Well, we could play a game of whataboutism, so I'm just going to make this point. If Donald Trump's rhetoric led to January 6th in the minds of the media and Democrats, certainly the incredibly incendiary and violent rhetoric that has come from Democratic elected officials, of which there is a long list, bears some responsibility. I think Trump was magnanimous after the first time. After the second time, I would say I think any of us would be incensed that there is no call, that political violence in general should be dismissed, but specifically telling people to stand down, shooting the candidate of the Republican Party. That is really what Democrats and our elected officials should be doing at this point, given the grave danger it poses to our electoral process and to faith in our free and fair elections.
Rohini, do you agree with that the blame rests here also, maybe if not on the whole, but at least partially, on the rhetoric that we've been hearing from Biden and Harris?
So I'd fundamentally disagree with that. I first want to thank you for having me on here. I think this is a bigger picture that we need to look at. It's not just this one assassination or even two that stand alone. It's the last 6 years. We've come to the cusp, which is the most enormously divisive in US policy, US society. And this is a continuation of whether it's the January 6th insurrection or whether it's mocking Nancy Pelosi's husband's near fatal injury, whether it is putting US election workers at death risk, whether it is Trump calling for General Mark Milley, his 20th Joint Chief of Staff, a punishment equivalent to execution for disloyalty, or a bunch of hate-spewing demagoguery, which is Trump's fundamental platform. That is really what he stands for. That is the basis of his popularity and the basis of the MAGA movement. But it's not only Trump and his demagoguery and the fealty of, Musk or Vance or whoever his sycophants may be. But there are two other things that are equally important. The second is the silence of the Republican Party, which is allowing him to get away with this kind of divisiveness and equally fostering it just in the name of power over fundamental values. And the third is that the US is such an unfettered, ridiculous gun rights nation, which, takes an antiquated aspect of its constitution and allows people without background checks, without licenses to own assault rifles. So you add this up, and naturally, this is what it comes to, not only in elections, but across the board.
Right. Jayden, just taking a bit from what Rohini just said there, if the aim is to calm things down, bring down the temperature, then such kind of remarks will just, to me at least, have the opposite effect, because by virtue of saying no one has tried to kill Harris, for example, isn't that in fact actually inciting more violence?
I think that's a really neat conceit that that the Biden administration and the White House did there. I think it is a valid point. No one on the right is attempting to kill the Democratic nominees. And what that tells us is the rhetoric that is coming from the left that says that Donald Trump needs to be eliminated, that he is a threat to democracy. And this is not limited to Donald Trump. Let's not forget that Steve Scalise and congressional Republicans were almost completely eliminated by a Bernie Sanders supporter. And it was the type of rhetoric saying that they were fundamentally dangerous to our republic back then that drove a crazed person to do it. So I'm not blaming Democrats only. I certainly believe that many things that Republicans have done have contributed to this. Much like the immigration issue, there is blood on both of the parties' hands here in terms of their rhetoric. We need to get back to discussing policies, but I will say one point. There's been one successful assassination of a former head of state in the last decade, and that has been in Japan, which is some of the most strict weapons laws on the books. And so crazed people will do crazed things, and they are driven by rhetoric.
Yes, indeed. This does bring up about questions about gun control here in the United States. But Jaden, before I go to Rohini, I just want to ask you, get your reaction on what Elon Musk said. Do you think that, in your opinion, he crossed the line this time around?
I think Elon Musk typically crosses the line, and he at least deletes his posts and realizes maybe it wasn't done in good faith. But Elon Musk is a converted Donald Trump supporter. As far as I'm aware, he's not really a member of the Republican Party, or really someone who that we would argue speaks for the president. I think he speaks for himself, his own business interests, and at least how he wants to see the United States be policy-wise.
Rainey, what do we make of the Secret Service handling of the situation? The acting service director, he said that whatever his agency did was effective. He also went on to point out that Trump's visit to the golf course was unplanned, potentially implying that his agents had to basically figure it out on the fly. In your opinion, how do you think the Secret Service managed it all?
I would love to talk to that, and I'll come back to it. I just want to complete the point that you'd raised earlier about Elon Musk. I think that he's taken a book literally from the Vance-Trump playbook. If they can go around spreading lies and hate speech about Springfield, that's just one latest example with 33 bomb threats, schools, colleges, hospitals closed. Or if they can tweet that if they can, sorry, by they I mean Vance and Trump, if they can tweet that Harris and Biden are the enemy from within, or that Mike Pence needs to be hung, or that General Milley should be executed, that's the kind of thing that is setting the tone for Musk and other Republican leaders who play this by the same playbook. On the Secret Service, it's an interesting point. This is a group of 3,000 incredibly trained, very qualified agents, but they are tasked with taking care of every former president, candidate, and the current president. So they are stretched. And given this political climate, I'm sure they're going to be stretched even more. And 50 days is going to play out fascinatingly, I think. So I do know they're undergoing reform from top to bottom. They're trying their best to ramp up to cope with this climate. But I don't think we can blame what's going on the Secret Service. It's the environment of political divisiveness that's been caused. That is the dog whistle for the Republican Party and Trump that's causing all of this.
Right. Rohini and Jaden, we'd have to leave it there for now. Hope to talk to you again in the coming weeks. Thank you so much for your time. Now, moving on to other news, Donald Trump has launched his family's cryptocurrency venture. Trump did not discuss specifics about the new business or how it would work, pivoting from questions about cryptocurrency to talking about artificial intelligence or other topics. Other speakers after Trump included his eldest son, talking about embracing cryptocurrency as an alternative to what they allege is a banking system tilted against conservatives. NDTV's Parmeshwar Bawa has those details.
The former US President Donald Trump seems to be capitalizing on the spotlight from his ongoing White House campaign. The Trump family has pledged to make finance great again with a new family-run crypto endeavor called World Liberty Financial, and they really turned up the volume on their promotion. But given the nature of the project, it might just stir up some debates about constitutional issues. They hosted a lengthy 2-hour live stream on social media platform X, teasing the announcement of World Liberty Financial to his over 90 million followers. He spoke broadly about the blockchain industry, the success of his NFT collections, and crypto's generational learning curve. But the catch? The stream was quite vague on the specifics. While the platform is reportedly being described as a decentralized finance money market, or a platform where people can borrow, lend, and earn interest on crypto, Trump did not personally speak about the project he is launching before turning the stream over to his sons and partners. What we know is they're introducing a governance token named WLFI. This token is unique because it's non-transferable and won't generate any yield. Its sole purpose is to allow holders to vote on decisions related to the project's development. 63% of the supply will be sold to accredited public investors with no pre-sales or VC allocation, project partner Chase Hero has said. Another 17% will be set aside for rewards, while the remaining 20% will be held by the project team for compensation. Trump is billing World Liberty Financial as a chance to make finance great again. But for the Trumps, some assert that it's nothing more than an endorsement deal, but the optics of a presidential candidate launching a new company could make cryptocurrency policy an election issue after all. One big question on everyone's mind is, if this WLFI token is non-transferable, what's the incentive for buying it? With no ability to trade or earn from it, the crypto community will definitely be curious about the value and purpose behind this token. The other burning question is whether a sitting president could even be associated with such a business. Parmeshwar Bava for NDTV.
Let's take a closer look at the story now. Joining us is Dr. Vishal Saraswat, cryptocurrency expert. We're also joined by Irina Sukumin. She's a national security attorney and a geopolitical analyst. Irina, let me come to you first. Let's just kick it off with that last question raised there in the story that we just heard. This Trump venture comes just barely 50 days before an election. On the campaign trail, Trump has made it amply clear that he's going to do everything he can to get a very favorable policy for crypto if he becomes president. How concerned are you that his company will stand to benefit if Trump comes into the Oval Office?
I think it's a very real concern. This is highly unusual for a president to be launching a private venture so closely associated to the policies he's advocating and so close to the election. Now, there is no law prohibiting the presidents from having private business while they're in office, but it is not customary to do so. Both President Reagan and President George H.W. Bush had moved their personal wealth into trusts upon taking office. And President Trump, during his first term in office, caused a bit of a havoc by not doing that. He reallocated his businesses to his sons rather than into a trust, which raised a lot of questions about conflicts of interest. It's not technically illegal, but the ethics of it are highly questionable.
Vishal, similar question to you here. Now, the U.S. regulator, the Securities and Exchange Commission, has been cracking down on the crypto industry. It's arguing that nearly all cryptocurrencies need to be regulated like stocks traded on Wall Street. But if we have Trump in the White House, we could see regulations that are softer on such requirements. Would you agree with that argument?
Yes. If you look at Trump when he was the president, at that time he actually opposed crypto. He was against crypto. He was very strict that, okay, there should be regulations and so on. But over these last 4 years, he has changed his stance, which could be influenced just because his sons or his friends, they have gotten into crypto business. So, we don't know why he has changed his stance, maybe just because he has got a lot of donations from the crypto industry. So yes, that is certainly a concern that he may go softer on the regulations, and which may not be, as
Right.
strict as they should be.
As robust or strong, indeed. Yeah. I mean, now the two entrepreneurs behind Trump's family venture are two men by the name of Chase Hero and Zachary Folkman. Now, Hero has described himself as the dirtbag of the internet, and Folkman used to teach classes on how to seduce women. All of this reported. What do we really know about these guys?
Well,
Well,
frankly, they
of
very
course,
much
we have.
fit.
Irina,
Go
go
ahead,
ahead.
They
please.
very much Yes, sorry. They very much fit the profile of the types of personalities that Trump has attracted to himself. Part of the reason is that he's really not knowledgeable about the industry at all, and he is also only looking for the celebrity factor. Another part is that he's been deliberately trying to attract this sort of kind of macho vibe, which sometimes goes hand in hand with really unscrupulous actions. I mean, this sort of activity reminds me of Andrew Tate, who also was once perceived as a legitimate influencer and internet TikTok personality until he was charged with assorted crimes, including human trafficking. I certainly hope this will not turn out to be the case, but these sort of guys don't bring in a vibe of credibility to a very risky business that's already confronting a lot of controversies, pros and challenges. They give up a vibe of fraud at the very least.
Yeah, I just want to ask a little bit more about that credibility issue. Vishal, I'll just come to you in a moment, but Irina, again to you here. Hero and Zachary were reportedly behind a similar sounding effort that only lasted a few months. Doe Finance. A hacking attack took down Doe that stole all the funds in it. How can people really trust a venture like this time around, even though it has Trump's endorsement?
This sort of venture does bring in very serious national security concerns, not only financial regulation, but they're very likely to attract hackers. Cryptocurrency has been targeted particularly by North Korean hackers and spies who are gathering not only information on crypto wallets with the effort to hijack the currencies, but also gathering personal data from people's devices. That's just the most recent scandal. There's been multiple, of course, other attacks from other parts of the world. And of course, cryptocurrency exchanges have been involved in a number of scandals, frauds, and so forth, which also has attracted a lot of scrutiny. So somebody who has a reputation for negligible security measures and involved in a scandal will not likely give pause to investors.
Vishal, what's the role of Trump's family members in this whole venture? Trump's title, very interesting titles for all of them. Trump's title is Chief Crypto Advocate. Barron Trump, the 18-year-old son of Trump, is also got an interesting title. And Eric Trump and Donald Trump Jr. each described as Web3 ambassadors. What does all this really mean?
Well, this basically kind of also gives insight what's happening at this World Liberty, this company. That very likely Trumps are only brand ambassadors for the company. They are not the real participants. They are not really executives. And this particular company is using Trump's presidency campaign as an way to gain more investment or make more money. And these guys are just simply themselves making money by endorsing this particular company instead of having real stake in the company.
Right, that was Irina and Vishal there joining us this morning, throwing some insight there into Trump's latest venture on cryptocurrency. Thank you guys so much for your time. Hope to speak to you again at some other point. Well, that's a wrap here for US Election Watch. I'm Allister D'Souza in Washington, DC.